Laura to please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Here.
Denise Chapman. Here. Amy Doran,
Here.
Don Kirk,
Here.
Barbara Cruz,
Here.
Alexander Lessem.
Here.
And Nancy Rumpel.
Here. Thank you, Laura Lee. Nancy, would you please lead us in the pledge? Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Nancy. Stu, please read the mission statement.
Sure. Thompson School District will be a school district that empowers, challenges, and inspires students, faculty, staff, parents, school leaders, and community members to learn, achieve, and excel.
Thank you, Stu. Our first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda for today's meeting?
Yes, I'd like to propose that we move 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3, remove it from tonight's meeting.
Okay, so you made a motion for that?
Yes, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, so a first from Don and a second from Stu. So let's have some discussion. Dr. Heller, I almost,
You almost did it. Thank you.
I know I did.
So after some consideration regarding some of the feedback we received, it was my recommendation to the board that we table this policy, the attendance policy, and the related exhibits and regulations for the time being, so that we can provide additional time and deliberation before presenting it to the board for final approval. So our primary goal for this policy would be two things: to create a policy that's fully compliant with all relevant state and federal laws, particularly Colorado state law regarding student attendance and relevant discrimination law, and to ensure the policy and our processes are centered on supporting students and families through any attendance-related issues. I think, as everybody knows, as we talked about at the study session just 2 weeks ago, attendance issues are complex, sometimes misunderstood, very personal, and we want to make sure that while our policies are also are legally sound, they're also, human-centered and very based in compassion and balance. And so we're going to likely bring these policies back to the board in either January or February. Since we will have some new board members at that time, we would start the entire process over. We would do a study session presentation and then a regular meeting presentation for final approval. So in the meantime, between now and then, we will be working on finalizing those policies and getting them ready for the board.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any discussion on it? Questions? Okay. I'm now going to need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. So first from Stu, a second from Nancy. And Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Amy Doran,
Aye.
Don Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz,
Aye.
Alexander Lessem,
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
Thank you, Laura Lee. All right, we will be moving into public participation, and that will begin with the Thompson Career Campus presentation. Is that correct? That's what I have on here.
Members of the board, my name is Jason Germain, proud principal of Thompson Career Campus tonight, as well as Harold Ferguson High School. With me, I have Miss Lindsay Cavalier, our amazing instructor, and 3 of our students who Lindsay will introduce here in a moment. Next slide, please. At Thompson Career Campus, our overall campus is inspired by purpose and driven by passion. So our mission each and every day at the campus is to empower students for really a workforce that is ever changing. We do so by offering skills-based opportunities, high-interest pursuits, and community partnerships. For those of you who have been around a while, we convened a group not all that long ago to kind of create a vision for a career in tech ed in our district, which is driven, which means that all of our pathways and programming, EMT included, which is what our focus is tonight, are diverse, relevant, innovative, visible, engaged, and nimble. So you invite us here, not to hear from me, but to hear from our amazing teacher and students. So without further ado, oh wait, hold on, one more slide, please. we would not be here without a well-rounded community support and appreciation. And so starting with those who helped fund the project that built this extension to our campus, the Larimer County Commissioners and the Bohemian Foundation, followed by the excellent service that Mr. Perconi helped organize and develop through FCI Constructors and the DLR Group, to now our experience being supported financially by the Valentine Family Foundation, and then our partnership with Ames Community College for concurrent enrollment. And lastly, with Thompson Valley EMS, who is joining us to provide a really unique career and tech ed model here, where their staff will be co-teaching along our staff for our students in year 2 of the pathway. So that's super exciting. And back to where I was earlier, Ms. Lindsay Cavalier.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So with our pathway, what's really exciting is that it's a 2-year pathway, and as you know, it's our first year working together. So all of our students are year 1. So what's super exciting is that it's a fast-paced, career-based pathway. So students are being prepared for either a first responder type career or maybe a health-related career. So in either case, all of our students from the main high schools are able to participate. They're able to focus on building these real-world skills that are going to be patient assessment, CPR, trauma and wound management, as well as being able to work in a fast-paced and staying more calm in a kind of urgent scenario. What's also really exciting about this is in this 2-year program, that first year is more foundations-based, where the second is going to be more focused on that EMT learning aspect and then preparing them for that final exam. As well as we're going to be earning some certificates, which I'll focus here on that next slide. So we'll talk about that in that community credit through the Ames Community College, and then working with Thompson Valley. So if you could move to the next slide, please. So as I mentioned, year 1 is that foundations-based. We'll start with anatomy, physiology, medical terminology, and health and wellness. All 3 courses is going to help students start with the medical terminology that they're going to need, as well as the basics for human body systems before they move into the emergency medical response. Once we start with that, they have the ability to start learning about different trauma responses, as well as their legal responsibilities as a first responder. Through that portion, they're going to learn about their basic life support and their CPR certification, as well as earn some credits for Ames Community College. Moving into our second year, this is more advanced and more focused practice for the medical piece for EMT. You can see there's various courses here where they're going to learn those fundamentals, trauma and medical emergencies. And in that second year, they'll also have the chance to practice their clinicals. So both years, they're going to be working alongside Thompson Valley EMS, but second year is really when they're going to dig into those clinicals and have that 10-hour experience. And if you could move to the next slide, please. So here's a few images of our students in class, different dissections and activities we've worked on. But with that being said, I wanted the opportunity for some of our students to speak. So I have Bella, Ian, and Maddie here available. They're going to share some of their stories of class and maybe why they signed up. So I'm going to pass this over to Maddie first.
Hi, I'm Maddie. And first I want to say that I wasn't even planned on joining the EMT program. I was actually put in, signed up for health science as my first. But when I came in and I saw, I learned that EMT was an opportunity, and I was like, well, I want to do that. That sounds awesome, because me personally, I don't really know what I want to do yet, but I know I love helping people, and I knew that doing EMT doesn't put me into I have to do this and I have to go into this. I have opportunities, and it just puts me in the a foot into the door. And I absolutely love it. I love Wednesdays and Fridays, which is the days I have it. It is the joy. I love the dissections. I love the anatomy and physiology, and everything just fascinates me. And I've loved absolutely everything that I've done so far and learned. It's all stuck in my brain, and I love it. So.
I'm Ian Millett, and I chose to do this after I signed up for the National Student Leadership Conference's Medicine and Healthcare, in Vancouver, Canada, which I did last summer. And I just thought, oh man, it'd be so cool on my college essays to write, I pioneered the first year and second year of the EMT pathway. But I just have a knack for some of the more anatomy and health parts of science, and I have too many notes to give up now.
Hi, I'm Bella Bradford, and I think the main reason why I joined TCC was from where I heard it. I heard about it in a counselor's meeting because we were registering for classes and courses. And I, same as Maddie, I wanted to do the health sciences pathway. But when I heard about the EMT pathway, it sounded really interesting and something that I wanted to go into. And so I think it's an amazing opportunity, and I think that really anyone who's looking to go into any sort of like hands-on based career, that they should definitely join TCC for sure.
At this point, we would open up for any questions you might have.
Sure. Board members, do you have any questions? Okay, let's start with Dawn.
I guess, what's your favorite part so far, besides physiology, which you guys covered broadly?
I'll go first. Mine's the dissections. I love the dissections. We did chicken feet first, and we could move the fingers, and we did eyeballs and a sheep's brain and a cow's heart. It was amazing. That's my favorite part.
My favorite part would also happen to be the dissections.
Okay, that makes sense.
My favorite was the sheep part, or cow heart, I'm sorry, because my group partner decided to drag in all of the ground coffee people, and I then gave a mini lecture on all the parts of the heart.
I think my favorite part has just been everything we've learned so far, and also collaborating with my peers and with Ms. K.
Amy, questions?
So, sort of to piggyback off of what Dawn asked, like, I get that the dissection and anatomy is fun. What is the most interesting thing that you've learned about the, human body or the anatomy of an animal, or I guess, or like the intestines, or something that you didn't know about a structure?
My favorite thing that I've learned is I kind of knew a little bit going into it, but I love the digestive system. It is absolutely fascinating on everything. I could go on a ramble about it, and everybody that I talk to knows, but it's what interests me the most, and it's just you should look into it. It's really fascinating.
I found the muscle system more interesting, and I can show you something very nice. If you push right about here, you can push down on the ligaments that pull your fingers, and you can force your hand to close.
I think for me, probably the bone and the muscle, or the skeletal and the muscle systems, because I want to go into PT, so I think that's pretty interesting. And we're in our med terms unit right now, and I think that's really interesting.
So I realize that some of you are probably contemplating going on to college or something like that, but go ahead and answer my question in the context that you can. What do you see yourself doing with this training, let's say in 5 years?
Well, I see myself in the military being a medic. That's what I really want to go into, is just taking this will put me, I'll have to learn it, but I'll already be ahead. And which really is nice, because I won't have to be so behind, and I'll have a background on it, because we are touching on lots of things. And so it just really helps for knowing it, especially because medics in the military. It's a little bit higher than an EMT, a paramedic EMT, so I already have some background, and so that's going to be how I use it. So.
Thank you.
If all goes well, 5 years would be paramedic prepping for med school.
Oh, okay, med school, all right.
I definitely want to continue furthering my education by going to college and probably med school because I want to be a sports medicine physician. So this is a great stepping stone for me.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll go over to you first. Go ahead, Nancy.
One question I have, and you might be able to answer it, is in the second year, do they get to do ride-alongs as they're working with the EMTs?
Yeah, we do ride-alongs in the second year. They'll have a 10-hour clinical working with Thompson Valley EMS. So that's one of the things that we'll be scheduling probably around that April-May timeline of that second year.
And then I think it's really great about, you end this with 15 college credits. So for some of you that are going on to college, and yay, going on to the military, I think that's just a really great, helpful start for that.
Alexandra?
How many students are in this group?
Currently, we have 2 classes in this first year, so currently we have a total of 26 students.
Okay, very cool. And then, did you guys have to apply, or could you just sign up, or how did that process work?
Would you like to speak to that?
I'd be happy to speak to it. So students apply annually to join our year 1 cohorts, and some one-year seniors who just participate for their senior year also apply annually. The application usually opens sometime in early October and will stay open until all of our pathways are filled. So the students apply online through our website. There's a screening process that occurs, and then students are offered their spots on the campus.
So it would apply in October for like this year or for the following
For
year?
August of 26, the application is
Okay.
currently open.
Okay, very cool. Thank you.
Denise, anything?
What would you tell freshmen that might be interested to help them understand the program and maybe get them to, want to participate?
I would tell them first off that it's not going to be just handed to you and that you're going to have to want it and learn for it. But if you are willing to learn and put forth the work, it is completely worth it. Everyone is so nice, and you just find so many friends because they're not all going to school, so it's not all familiar faces. The first couple days, it's like, oh, hi. But after a while, you're all friends and you all talk, and it's great. And especially with learning, it's definitely worth it. I would say do it and go with, if you're torn between 2 things like wanting to do woodworking and health science, go with your gut and go which one you think you would love to do and just learn, because you don't have to know what your future is going to be. If you know that you have a passion for it, do it, because it's completely worth it. Just know that you're going to have to work for it, and it's not going to be handed to you.
Thank you.
I would say be passionate about what you choose to do.
I would probably just tell them to just sign up, go for it, and just take the opportunity and any other opportunity you can.
Only question I have is that new table here?
So I was actually going to mention.
Oh, okay,
that
sorry.
Tonight, on
Okay,
your
okay,
contracts
okay.
over to the 50,000, you are
Okay,
being
it's on
asked to
there.
approve
Yeah, so,
the
yeah.
virtual cadaver table, which is
Yeah.
for this program. Yes.
Awesome. So have fun with it once there. All right. Thank you so very, very much for coming with it.
Thank you,
sharing
and
with
thank
us.
you for your service to our district.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Okay. Take a picture?
I believe, Mr. Jermaine, that the board would like to do a picture with these amazing
all of
students
you.
and staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're good. All right. You're front and center. Let's have everyone squish. All right. If I go here, that's about. Oops. All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, we'll continue on with, where are we? Public participation with Dr. Heller and awards and recognition. None tonight. Okay, so we move into public comments. So I'll turn that over to Dawn.
Right.
And I think you have the paper, correct?
I do, yes. Because the board wants to hear the viewpoints of the public and also needs to conduct its business in an orderly and efficient manner, it will schedule time during its regular board meetings for brief comments and questions from the public. The board will set a time for public participation prior to the business portion of the meeting. The time for each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and each individual will only be recognized once. If there is a large number of speakers, the board may elect to take comments for 1 hour before the business meeting and conclude public comment after the business meeting. Public comments and questions at a regular meeting may deal with any topics related to the board's conduct of the schools. Speakers may offer such criticism of school operations and programs as concern them, but are encouraged to exercise their speech rights responsibly. Personnel matters will be discussed in executive session, and we have a new timer, so you'll want to watch the screen in front of you. That'll give you the updates on the countdown on that. So first up, we have Holly Baum.
Dawn, I don't believe the timer is working, so we're going to have to use the other one.
Okay. Let's see here. Plan B, which is the little lights now. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're
Okay.
ready when you are.
Back up here.
Okay. Good evening, board members and Dr. Heller. My name is Holly Baum, and I represent, I'm a parent of a student at the DLI program. I stand here tonight not only as a parent, but a voice of hundreds of families, students, and educators who have given more than a decade of their lives to building and sustaining this program, a program that was promised and trusted to be a full K through 12 pathway. Our students have done everything that has been asked for them. They stayed in the program when it was hard. They stayed when the coursework became more advanced. They even stayed when the secondary level lacked the support it needed. They have worked for years towards the promise of biliteracy and college credits through 12th grade. And today they are being told that their effort and their perseverance will not be honored. This year alone, DLI kindergarten enrollment is nearly double the choice enrollment than any other program in the district. Families are committing loudly and confidently to bilingual education, and they believed in the promise that their children would finish this program through 12th grade. Just 1 week ago, Dr. Heller shared at Truscott his goal of making Thompson School District the best in Colorado. I support this vision, but ending a program after 10th grade does not move us towards excellence. It takes us backwards. Staff and families have worked tirelessly for more than 10 years to build this program. Teachers have poured their passion and expertise into it, but our students have done the real work, becoming biliterate, navigating 2 languages in classwork, completing assessments and coursework many adults couldn't do themselves. They have done the hard thing year after year after year. And now the message is being sent. Thank you for your hard work, but the finish line you were running towards no longer exists. That is not what excellence looks like. That is not how a district becomes the best in Colorado. Meanwhile, other states, including Minnesota, who started 2 years after Thompson District, have created full high school curriculum for their programs. They are expanding opportunities and investing in bilingualism. We are not falling behind because our children are less capable. We are falling behind because our system is choosing not to support them. And even after a dual language audit identified clear problems that needed to be addressed at the secondary level, instead of fixing those gaps, the district is reducing the program. When a program succeeds at elementary level, but fails to be supported at the high school level, it is not a DLI problem, it is a district level problem. Thank you.
Jill Brito?
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent Heller. My name is Jill Brito, and I speak to you both as a parent of 2 students in the dual language education program, as well as a Spanish teacher at Truscott Elementary. For more than a decade, our district promised a true K-12 dual language pathway, one that would allow students to graduate not only biliterate, but also with the opportunity to earn nearly a minor's worth of college credit in Spanish through a university partnership. Families enrolled on that promise. Teachers committed their careers based on that vision. And our students have built their identities around it. But when the inaugural cohort entered high school last fall, none of the promised structures were in place. The university partnership did not exist. There was no established high school program. Students whose proficiency levels are far above a typical high school coursework were simply placed into existing Spanish courses that did not meet their academic needs. Even now, our freshmen and sophomores are not receiving instruction aligned with their level or the commitments that we made to them. The district's recent announcement to consolidate the program into one high school and end it after 10th grade adds even more strain and frustration to families. Parents with students at Thompson Valley may have younger children who will be forced to attend a completely different high school in order to continue in the dual language program. That is a significant and unfair disruption for families who trusted the long-term plan that was presented to them over 10 years ago. On top of that, no district transportation is being offered, neither for students nor for students who will now need to travel to Loveland High School, nor for juniors or seniors who are expected to participate in concurrent enrollment off campus. Many students do not have a vehicle, cannot leave campus during the school day, or simply cannot travel across the district. For many newcomer and Spanish first families, this essentially makes continuing the program impossible. Transportation should never be a barrier that determines who gets access to this pathway that they were promised. A decision of this magnitude should never have been made without consulting key DLA stakeholders, which to my knowledge did not happen. I respectfully urge you to pause this decision, bring stakeholders to the table, and recommit to building the high school program that truly serves our students. Our students worked too hard for this pathway to end before it should, and they deserve better. Nuestros estudiantes han trabajado demasiado para que su camino termine antes de su tiempo y merecen más. Gracias por su tiempo. Thank you.
Sue Timer?
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Heller. My name is Sue Timer. I am a longtime educator in Thompson, currently serving as the president of the Thompson Education Association. I'm very grateful to the voters of this district who passed the $99 million no tax increase bond to address safety and maintenance needs in our district. I want to congratulate you as a board for making a wise decision to put this measure before the voters. I especially want to express my appreciation for the licensed staff, classified staff, and community members who canvassed for several weeks to make sure our voters understood and supported this ballot measure. This money will be an important start in addressing some of the district's most pressing security and maintenance needs. Simultaneously, we must address the other areas of financial need for our district, specifically general fund dollars to pay staff salaries and benefits, as well as other costs of operating the district. Colorado has one of the lowest levels of per pupil funding in the nation, forcing public schools across the state to deal with the impacts of low teacher pay, large class sizes, and other challenges. Even during strong economic periods, schools remain underfunded due to artificial caps on funding. Educators across the state are asking the state legislature to refer a measure to the 2026 ballot that would lift this cap off of education funding. Doing so will give voters the chance to demonstrate their support for public education across the state. As this last election clearly showed, the people of Colorado care deeply about the future of our children. And I believe if given the chance to vote to lift this funding cap, they would demonstrate that again. I'm asking you as a board to show your support for local educators by passing a resolution that asks the state to refer this to the 2026 ballot, allowing voters the opportunity to cut the ropes holding back education funding across the state. I have a sample resolution for you to view and consider. Thank you.
And Reggie Johnson, I'll have you come up while we're doing this. It's a good transition activity.
Where is it? Sorry, I can't reach it. I can't see.
I didn't bring any handouts. Good to go. Good evening, Dr. Heller, Madam President, members of the school board, and the community members. My name is Reggie Johnson. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the proud mother and grandmother of LGBTQ plus loved ones, and I'm also the president of PFLAG in Fort Collins, serving Northern Colorado. PFLAG's mission is to create a caring, just, and affirming world for LGBTQ folks and those who love them. I'm here tonight on behalf of families with students in the Thompson School District who are too afraid to speak publicly during this tumultuous time, especially those with transgender and non-binary students. Tomorrow, November 20th, is Transgender Day of Remembrance, a solemn day honoring lives lost to anti-trans violence. It's also a call to action, a reminder of the urgent need to protect and affirm our transgender students and community. Across the country, LGBTQ students face relentless attacks. Courts have recently ruled that students may intentionally misgender their transgender peers, ignoring that the proven harm that this causes, including depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. Social media platforms amplified anti-trans hate with no controls, exposing youth to cyberbullying and harassment. LGBTQ student groups are under fire, even here in Loveland, where efforts to form a GSA at Irwin Middle School are meeting fierce resistance. Transgender students face bathroom bans, exclusion from sports, the dismantling of gender-affirming care. Over 20 hospitals have ended such care, despite overwhelming evidence that it saves lives. One study found a 73% drop in suicidality among youth who receive that treatment. Conversion therapy is being rebranded and reintroduced. Book bans and curriculum censorship are erasing LGBTQ history and identity. Pride flags are being removed from public spaces, and even protections for queer foster youth are under threat. In January, the Supreme Court is set to decide whether transgender Americans are entitled to equal protection under the law. So imagine going to school every day with all these attacks hanging over your head, each new policy chipping away at your safety and your hope, leaving you braced for the next blow. In this climate, we thank you for your gender-affirming policies here at TSD, but more than ever, we need you to be proactive, stand firm in protecting the rights and humanity of transgender students in this school district. PFLAG families are watching. We're here to support you and hold you accountable.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Heller. My name is Elizabeth Newton with 3 grandchildren in TSD schools and a taxpayer of Fort Collins. Email eanewton2013@gmail.com. My public comment this evening is concerning board leadership, accountability, and student belonging. I'm speaking tonight because we have had serious problems with who is held responsible and how things get done on this board. This directly affects whether our students feel safe and like they truly belong at school. First, let's talk about the rules. Nancy, our current board member, constantly breaks board rules and policies, and nothing ever happens. When one person can ignore the rules over and over, it tells everyone that the rules don't matter. This stops the board from being able to govern properly. Thank you, Robert Cruz, for your leadership and commitment to TSD. In the future, we need a board president who will enforce the rules on all board members. This issue is even more urgent because of Lori Goebel, the newly elected board member. She has made derogatory statements against our LGBTQ+ community and has used public comment time to preach her personal religious views. The school board here is to govern education, not to push personal beliefs or spread hate. We demand that all board members act professionally and respect the diversity of our student body. That's why in choosing the new board president, you must pick a leader with courage and integrity. We need a president who will ignore personal favors and political connections and instead focus on good governance. They must be ready to use all tools, including censure, to hold every single board member, including both the veteran rule breaker, Nancy, and the controversial new member, Lori, accountable for their actions. Finally, I want to call on Dr. Heller to stand strong. Your leadership is key to making sure our schools are inclusive, safe places where every single student feels respected and like they belong, no matter who they are. I watched the November study session where difficult subjects were discussed. Board members were engaged in open, honest, and inclusive discussion on sensitive subjects that have become political in our current landscape, and did so without resorting to political views that have been used in the past and damaged our community. This is how each and every board meeting should be conducted. We must honor the diversity of our community in every discussion while ensuring full adherence to rules, policy, and law. Our students deserve a board that focuses on education, not on drama, rule breaking, or prejudice. We need strong action right now to make sure our schools are places of learning, safety, and respect. Lastly, I also thank Amy for your strong support and best wishes for your future. Thank you.
This concludes our public comment, and now we move to reports, and I turn to Dr. Heller.
Thank you. All right, I've got quite a few things for my update this evening. So on October 28th, all of our TSD secondary schools participated in the Give Next Kickoff Day event at CSU's Laurie Student Center. We had more than 700 middle and high school students from across all 3 Larimer County school districts, who all came together to explore the community issues, ask thoughtful questions, and be inspired to make a difference. Our students connected with over 50 local nonprofits, participated in hands-on breakout workshops, and heard from inspiring keynote speaker. I stopped in, visited with students, staff, and the organizers to educate myself more about the program and to continue to support this program. It was an incredible day of learning, leadership, and community impact. Next, on November 6th, our families joined the Thompson School District for our annual kindergarten open house. It was a fantastic evening to connect with all of our elementary schools and explore all the amazing opportunities that TSD offers. I think many of you know that we had a fantastic Veterans Day celebration. Schools throughout the district celebrated Veterans Day with a variety of activities, including educational lessons, the Loveland Veterans Day Parade, special events and visits from veterans in our community, and many of our schools worked hard to design unique opportunities to honor that special day. Throughout November, we are highlighting TSD military veterans on our social media accounts and district website. Once again, thank you to all of our veterans for their sacrifice and for all that you've done to protect and serve our country. On November 11th, we celebrated Read Aloud Day. This yearly tradition highlights the importance of literacy and the power of a great book. Community members, district board members, and staff were invited into classrooms to read to groups of children. Some readers even brought their favorite age-appropriate storybooks to read aloud. On November 12th, Board President Barb Cruz and I met with PTO members and the Cafe Con Leche group at Truscott Elementary School. I provided some district updates and spoke with attendees about various topics. Last Thursday, we held our very first Thompson School District Leadership Academy session at the district office, which focused on the district's overall structure. Participants had an opportunity to connect while learning about the departments that contribute to the district's organization. Thank you to all of this year's participants. We have a fantastic cohort. We look forward to collaborating with you all throughout the year. Last night, I had the opportunity to attend the Parent Resource Fair, which was put on by the Exceptional Student Services team. The room was full, mainly with vendors. We had lots of fantastic community partners and vendors in the room, and we did have some parents who made it out with their children to check out those partners. We are looking forward to making this an annual event and growing it in its scope and impact for parents and students. I also will tell you that today was the first day of the snack cart at Turner Middle School. If you remember during our study session 2 weeks ago, the staff from Turner Middle School and the students in that program presented about their snack cart that they have been working on. Today was the first day, and I went out there. Sue Timer and I actually had our monthly meeting out at Turner Middle School just so that we could participate with the snack cart. The students were so excited. The staff were so proud of the work that their kids are doing in that classroom to make this happen. And the other thing, I think a lot of our folks have already left, but I do want to just briefly talk about the DLI concerns that were brought up today. There were, I'm just going to say, there were some mistakes in terms of how and when this was shared with DLI families, the method potentially of how this came about. I will take full responsibility for that, for those mistakes. And I am happy, and I will reach out to those folks to set up a meeting with the DLI families and the DLI PAC to discuss these changes, why we believe they are necessary, and how this will work going forward. That's it for my updates.
Thank you. The next item would be our board committee reports, and I kind of left it open to them if there was something they attended that they wanted to share with us. So I'll start down at this end this time. Denise, you want to start if you have anything?
Sure. I had the opportunity to participate in several of the events over the past month here, and I went to the parade, and I was just blown away by the kids and how engaged they were and chanting and not running into the street to get candy. It was pretty amazing. The teachers had it all figured out and was just reminded me again of why we do this, and then reading aloud in classrooms as well, how much our teachers are being asked to do, how class size matters, and the different needs that can exist within one classroom. I stayed longer than I didn't just read. I just stayed and experienced these classrooms, and teachers are magic. It's really impressive to see everything that they were able to run at the same time in a room with kids at all different levels. So we should all be doing more of it to get into our schools to really appreciate what's happening every day.
Alexandra?
So I participated, I walked in the parade, and so got to see all the kids lining the way out in front of Truscott and all the ones that had been bussed in from other schools, and it was really fun. It was very cool. They all had their flags waving, and it was a really good time. Last Friday, I went to go see the Murder on the Orient Express at Mountain View High School. That was their fall play. And it was very, 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 I was impressed. They did a really good job. It was a little bit of a challenging play for them to do, but they really did a marvelous job, and that was a great experience. So that was a highlight of the month for sure.
Probably. Go ahead, Nancy. I didn't know if you have anything. You've been gone.
Actually, I don't have a lot. One of the meetings previously, I had talked about that this summer I had come to a decision, and so it's taken a lot of my time traveling to Oklahoma City, as well as most of my committees haven't met. But I have been sad to miss the Veterans Day Parade, these plays, there's been other things. And I just came back last night from Oklahoma City, and I would encourage everyone to pull out their driver's license and confirm that you are marked as a donor. Being a donor saves lives, and that's what I was doing. I was actually donating for my sister Penny, but there are a lot of people that they don't make it. They don't ever get the transplant that they need. And so I would encourage everyone, please check your driver's license, make sure you're a donor, because literally people's lives depend on it, and it's a way you can leave a living legacy for you and your family.
Thank you, Nancy. I attended a lot of the same things that everybody else has. This is my last formal meeting that I'll be addressing. I'm doing the December 3rd when we swear in our new people. So I just want to say thanks to the confidence you have for me for this role, and that I will be around because TEF invited me to stay on as that committee, so I'm excited for that. Stu.
I also attended several of the events, but I'm going to speak with you about something that I did on Monday. I was invited to be a judge for the Northern Colorado Extemporaneous Speech Competition for Future Farmers of America. How's that for a long title? Students from a variety of high schools in Northern Colorado participated in this event. They drew topics, had about 15 minutes to prepare. All the topics had something to do with agriculture, as you would expect, because we're talking about future farmers of America. They had about 15 minutes to prepare, and then the students came in front of the three of us who were judging and gave their presentations. Keep in mind, they had about 15 minutes to prepare. Now, they had an idea of what the topics might be, but they, of course, didn't know what topic they were going to draw. As a former high school speech teacher, it was awesome to hang out with kids, to watch them exhibit the talents that they have in public speaking and show the poise and so on that they have. And I'm happy to report to you that the winner of this Northern Colorado competition is a student from Thompson Valley High School, and she will be representing the northern region at the state FFA convention. So that was a real highlight.
Fun. Amy?
Both of my committees had events last night. So I was busy last night. I went from PI to the resource fair last night, the SEAC resource fair, which Dr. Heller spoke about, but I've been the board representative for PI, and that is near and dear to my heart. I believe strongly in early childhood education, and it was my last PI meeting, and it was great. We had 19.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was amazing. We counted the babies. There were a lot of babies there last night, and it was fantastic. But you know, they do great work, just amazing work. So last night we had a great meeting. There were over 19 attendees. The main thing that we focused on was the annual Head Start self-assessment, which is a really big deal. You know, and I'm always impressed with just the robust work that they do with that Head Start self-assessment. The Head Start self-assessment, it's not an isolated event, but it's an ongoing monitoring process, which is part of the ongoing the program's planning cycle. They ask questions about where they're at, what they're doing well, are they meeting all of the Head Start performance standards, are the services responding to the changing needs of the children and the families, and that's what I just really love. They just don't focus on the children, they focus on the family, because, you know, it's not just about the kids, right? They're dependent on the families too. You know, are they doing what they need, not just what they've always done? And can they refine their program design and management systems to further improve the outcomes for the children and families? So the self-assessment focus areas are health services. This year they're going to be focusing on oral and dental hygiene. We learned that 3 of the go-to dental providers in our community have closed their doors. So that's a huge deal. So 3 in our community have closed. Focusing on nutritional services, big deal. Transportation services, how do we get creative solving transportation issues with families to ensure compliance with the Head Start performance standards. Disabilities and ESS services, they're really going to focus on streamlining paperwork and processes to minimize time from referral to assessment, because we all know you always have to complete the same form for over and over and over if you're a family receiving ESS services. Mental health services, self-regulation is a big one. Family and community services, ensuring that resource lists are up to date. They look at fiscal management, program design, complying with, standards, Office of Management and Budget, eligibility, recruitment. There's new consideration factors for enrollment. We had a report on the Regional Head Start Conference, and our Head Start program is training. Lots of people come to our program here for training because we just have so much to offer. And so a lot of, the people who went to the regional conference just are always impressed with what we have to offer here and what resources we have, the opportunities that we have, such as safety and security, nutrition, transportation. We also talked about goals. So it was just a great meeting. So they'll work on all of this and then present in January to our new representative. So thank you.
Dawn?
I'm going to just share some really exciting post-TSD things that I got to participate in this last month that I just love. So I got to go to UNC Tour Day on Friday, which was fantastic, exhausting, but fantastic. Really great campus. They covered so much information in a one day to really help let people know about the accommodations that they will make, the different services they have, the different variety of things, giving us a chance to see what the different buildings look like and the different, the diversity of that, right? The campus is 130 some years old. And so getting to see some of the newest buildings and some of the buildings that are been there forever was just really great. And it was really exciting to get to do that with one of my kids, since all of them until very recently were like, no way I will go to a 4-year college. And here we are going to UNC for somebody who's thinking about being a history teacher, probably in this district if I'm lucky. And so I love that we helped with all the things that are presented here in these meetings to help make that possible. And then another really amazing thing was that my son, who some of you who've been participating in this as long as I have may know that he tested our system at every possible opportunity, which I'm really proud of. Just opened his 3rd shop, and he is 21 years old. And so it was really exciting because this one's bigger and it has all the bells and whistles, and it's something that he's built now 2 other ones to know what he wants to do. And I think about those hard days and I think about all that we do here and all of the program we would have and all the ways that we help kids find their passion and support them through that. And it's really cool to see that come up, back and I could think back to 1,000 examples of the work that we do here and all the great educators who helped make that possible. So it was a really cool exclamation point to all of it.
Okay, that concludes our board reports. And we will move now into action consent items. And these are the items that we've had presented to us at like a study session or a previous meeting, and they need to be approved, but they don't have any more real questions involved with them. So the first one is, I'll just read down the list. There's 6 items, and then I'll check to see if anybody has something they need to have us talk about. And Alexandra is going to read the donations, correct? Is that what we said? Okay. So the first item is 5.1, which is the approval of minutes for October 15th and October 15th, 2025. 5.2 is the approval of minutes for November 3rd, 2025. 5.3 is the approval of personnel extra duty coaching recommendations. 5.4 is the approval of expenditures over $50,000, and that's where the table is that we were talking about. 5.5 is the approval of the gifts and donations, and 5.6 is the approval of District Accountability Committee, the DAC group. It's the membership list for that. So I'm going to ask Alexandra to read the donations for us, and then we'll proceed.
We have one donation, which was for $3,000 for the athletic program to Lucille Irwin Middle School from Quaid and Danielle Smith to fund new equipment and an athlete records board.
Okay, thank you. All right, are there any items that we need further discussion on these that I just read? Okay, I would take a motion to approve these, if I could get one, please.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
And a second. So first from Alexandra, second is from Denise. And Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran.
Aye.
Don Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
Thank you, Laura Lee. All right, next item is a discussion action items, and we started out our meeting by amending our agenda, so we are tabling 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3 for further conversations. So we're going to jump to 6.4.
That is correct.
And 6.4 is the approval of the second reading policy, AC, non-discrimination, equal opportunity. Each one of these next items that come up, some of them might be combined in conversation from the presentation they share, but we have to vote on each one separately. So just hang in with us. It's what we have to do. So, thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Heller, members of the board, Sarah Rasmussen, Assistant Superintendent of Learning Services. And what I wanted to point out before I introduce my colleagues is that in the board packet, the revisions that were made after last study session are highlighted in yellow. So if you're looking for those, it's the yellow highlights. So at this point in time, I would like to introduce Valerie Laura Black, who is our Director of Human Resources, as well as Colin Dyke, who is our Compliance Coordinator within Learning Services.
Are they going to be combining a couple of these together, do you think, as far as conversation? Okay. Okay, so, all right, we'll have to listen for when we can change. Okay. All right.
Thank you all, Madam President, Dr. Heller, members of the board. We appreciate the opportunity to present the board policy. We'll call them the AC policy revisions. It's a whole package. We have very little changes from the last board meeting other than a revision to the titles that we had been given to clarify that members of the public can also report complaints to Val under any of our anti-discrimination laws, as well as a couple of typos and things like that. So with that, there's no need for me to belabor the point. We're happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Okay, are there questions from last time on this? Any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
It's on the AC. I just want to make sure I understood something. So under protected classes, it has gender identity or expression, and it has transgender status. I'm very familiar that gender identity and expression is in state statute, but I've never seen, I don't think I have, transgender status. And if I understand this correctly, gender identity is what one perceives that they are, and expression is how they express it to everybody. So why do we have identity, expression, and transgender status? I mean, what statute includes that one, and what's the necessary for this?
Yep, excellent question. So there are two things I would say. The first is that the actual protected classes we were provided by legal counsel, so I feel fairly confident that if they say it needs to be in there, it needs to be in there. But on top of that, I would add that yes, right, gender identity and gender expression will often encapsulate a lot of students who are transgender, but not always. The protections for gender are what we would call in the law symmetric, meaning they protect everyone, regardless of what your gender is. The specific call out for transgender status is the changing of gender from one to another, or the recognition of a change in gender from biological sex. So they're slightly different, it's just to be inclusive.
So it's just expanding on gender identity and expression terminology?
I think it's required language, but it does clarify that that transition itself is protected.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have questions over this? So that was referring to 6 point, which one was it? Nancy?
6.4.
It was 6.4? Okay. So I will take a motion to approve the yes, Stu, did you have a comment?
I do
Okay,
have a
I didn't
comment.
realize that, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I do have a comment about 6.4, Colin, and I don't know if you've seen the email that I sent this afternoon, late this afternoon to Laura Lee, suggesting that there was one section of the protected class part of the document that I was confused about as I read it, and I think the addition of a comma in a particular place would clarify that. So I just wanted to ask, first of all, if you saw the email and saw the suggestion, and if you need to react to what I said.
I have not seen the email. Happy to answer any questions, though, about it. Very busily preparing for our training tomorrow morning on the policy. So what would you say that, I'd be happy to hear what the comma change need is.
Sure. It's in the definition of the protected classes. Let me find it here. If you can look at it while I am also talking about it. I'm looking at policy AC, and this section on protected classes may be in some of the other documents as well, but I'm looking at it in AC.
Oh, yes, I see here. So the comma and for an applicant or employee or applicant, the genetic information.
Yes.
Yeah, we should insert a comma there, I agree.
I just feel that it's less confusing, that it will increase understanding and meaning for someone who is reading this, who particularly doesn't have a background in what they're reading. So, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. So this is referring to 6.4. I'll take approval, or I will take a motion to approve the second read policy, AC, non-discrimination, equal opportunity.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a first from Stu and a second from Alexander. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran. Dawn Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfeld.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Laura Lee. Okay, so the next one, I have approval, 6.5 is the approval of the second read regulation AC-R-1, harassment and discrimination investigation procedures for students. Anything you need to say, or do you want me to check for questions?
Happy to do.
Questions over this? Just a second. Anybody else? Okay, Nancy.
And I don't know where it is, and I was trying to find all this pile of papers. So my one question on this is, when it talks about sanctions or discipline, to me, it comes across as very vague. And so, as an example, if a student, there's an investigation, and they have been purposely misgendering someone, what are the sanctions that would be, or discipline? Because it just seems to be missing.
Yeah, and I would say that's a little bit intentional, not to be not direct, but it is important to take in the unique circumstances of the student, right? If it's a student who just doesn't know any better, the right response is not a disciplinary response, it's an educational one. So that's always our first and foremost priority. If it's a student, though, that is persistently doing it, the first offense may be different than the third offense. So we try to leave ourselves a lot of opportunity to meet the individual needs of the student that has engaged in the conduct. But also, agency is important too. The person that has experienced this hardship should, if what they want is in a policy, why do we need to necessarily impose additional discipline? And that's not my decision to make. It's the principal who's in the best position to make that choice. So we've tried to leave as much discretion to meet the individual needs of both parties in the situation.
And I'm guessing when you talk about if a student just is unaware and needs additional, I don't know, instruction, education, where does that come from? And I would assume and hope that the parents were involved with that.
Yeah, so first I would say that if a complaint is filed and is being investigated, the provisions have us do notice, and notice of the allegations, and also at the end there's a written investigative report with findings that say responsible for X or Y conduct. So parents are brought along the whole way, plus they're allowed to act as advisors in the process, so they're often at every interview with the student. What does that re-education, additional education look like? It depends on site and resources availability. Often it will be, it might be working with a school counselor, it might just be meeting with the teacher, it might just be listening to the student explain their lived experience. So it can be a range of things.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I will take a motion to approve the second read regulation AC-R-1, harassment and discrimination investigation procedures for students.
So moved.
Thank you. So I have a first from Alexandra and a second from Denise. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran. Dawn Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Oh, aye.
Nancy Rumpfeld.
Aye.
Thank you, Laura Lee. Okay, our next one is 6.6, and it's the approval of the second read regulation AC-R-2, harassment and discrimination investigation procedures for employees, applicants for employment, and members of the public. Anything you need to say?
Nope.
No? Any questions down here? Any questions up here? Okay, I will take a motion to approve the second read regulation AC-R-2, harassment and discrimination investigation procedures for employees, applicants for employment, and members of the public.
So moved.
Who said that?
Denise.
Denise, thank you, Denise.
I'll second.
Thank you, Stu. So a first from Denise, a second from Stu. And Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran.
Aye.
Dawn Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfeld.
Aye.
All right, 6.7 is the approval of the second read regulation AC-R-3, sexual harassment investigation procedures. Questions on this side? Anybody? Okay, questions? Okay, we discussed it last time, didn't we? All right, I will take a motion to approve the second read regulation of AC-R-3, sexual harassment investigation.
So moved.
Thank you. Is that Amy? Okay, I have a first from Alexandra and a second from Amy. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran. Dawn Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfeld.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. 6.8 is the approval of the second read exhibit ACE-1, non-discrimination, equal opportunity. Questions, comments? Questions or comments? Need a minute to look? Oh, okay. All right. I will take a motion to approve the second read Exhibit AC-E-1, non-discrimination, equal opportunity.
So move.
Thank you, Stu.
Second.
And Denise. So first from Stu, second from Denise. And Laura, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Amy Doran, Don Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz,
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem,
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
One more. 6.9, approval of the second read Exhibit AC-E-2, discrimination, equal opportunity complaint form. All right.
I do have one comment on that.
Oh, you
if I
do?
could, yeah. And it is just to say thank you to our friends in IT and to Matt Beal, who worked very hard on creating an online version of this form that will launch tomorrow morning at, I think, around 8 a.m. So
Perfect.
people will be able to file or to submit complaints digitally, and they don't have to do paper or go through an adult. So
Okay,
thanks to that.
great. Okay, I will take were there any questions on this one? I forgot. Okay, I will take a motion for approval of the second read Exhibit AC-E-2, non-discrimination, equal opportunity complaint form.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, first from Alexander and a second from Stu. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Amy Doran, Don Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem,
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Laura Lee. Thank you. We
Thank you all.
appreciate your diligence with all of this. Yes, we thank you. All right, so now we have discussion items. So 7.1 is our financial update. So here he comes, Mr. Ebersol. Are you okay? You need to get up?
No.
Okay.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Heller, Bob Ebersol, Chief Financial Officer. Before I start my presentation, I'll just note that my husband used to be a member of the Future Farmers of America during high school and dealt with farm animals, starting his love of animals at that point.
Cool.
So the financial information that was presented to you, the first item is the general fund budget actuals through June 30th. This is our preliminary review of the general fund, subject to audit review. This is going to be the last time you will see this format of the financials. It's consistent with what we've done before. It's not what we'll be doing going forward with the new budget process. But just noting that our reserve will be higher than was projected when I last gave the financials, when we were doing the budget for the current year. That we will go over the various amounts that changed in that part as part of the audit presentation. Clifton Allen Larson, CLA, is our auditors. Zach Moser, Director of Finance, has been giving the information to the auditors before any of the deadlines they've set. We've been happy with the information that's been coming from us. They've worked on the various information that they have, and it's going appropriately. We expect them to come for the board the full board meeting in December. They don't think that they will have they could have preliminary numbers at the beginning study session, but they don't like to do that when the numbers change as it goes through at that point. In addition, at the federal government, the OMB, I think, is the one that comes up with it. The single audit standards have not been finalized. So every audit that a nonprofit or a governmental entity that's going through the entire country is not having a single audit being prepared at the moment. So what will come before you in December is the basic audit, and then they will come back again with a single audit later on that point. We will still meet our December 30th deadline for the Colorado Department of Education for submitting our audit, assuming that you approve it in December. Going to the next slide is somewhat of a precursor of what the new format's going to be. We are going to get information that we've talked about doing. This is the revenue budget for our current year through October. So the format, we will show you the annual budget, we will show you the year-to-date budget, actuals over and under. We will then compare it to where we were last year at the same time, and a variance of there. And the last column will show you percentage of the actual year-to-date numbers. I will state that our year-to-date budget is a work in progress. In some cases, we just divided by 12. In some cases, we projected when we thought we would actually get that income in. And that's going to be the same case on the expenditures. We are working with departments so that next year's budget, we will have the departments tell us when they think they're going to spend money during the year instead of it being a finance decision. So when the year-to-date budget comes through, it actually matches what their expectation is instead of just a projection. Property taxes are under, again, we did that by 12. We get most of our taxes in March, so we'll be showing that. As we get further and further in the year, the budget actual will be closer at this point. Next slide, please. So these are the actuals, and this is giving you sort of a precursor of how we will probably be dividing the budget narrative to you. Instead of the CDE way of instruction, operations, and overhead numbers, we're going to be doing it in a programmatic way. So for instance, business services, we're going to show you here's where the charter schools are. Communications, human resources, learning services, breaking it down to what we're spending on early childhood, elementary school, CTE, federal state programs. It's a way to see if it makes sense. We are working with the departments. These titles are probably going to change based on what their programmatic needs are. So when we come to you with next year's budget process, which will be starting internally December, January, and then actual real public involvement in March and April, we'll show you the programmatic, where we're going, so you can actually see it there. When we had the FTE count and the non-FTE count, you're not going to see that. It's all going to get merged together. It's going to be programmatic. So salaries and non-salary expenses will be under a program, not separated. We will still have the FTE count in addition to the dollars, because FTE is really what's the, as was discussed during the board comments, what is the class size, how does that play out, and what are the number of teachers and support staff that we have at that point. And the other thing I'd note, the year-to-date actuals, as we are fine-tuning our actual accounting systems, we pay people sometimes in the month they're working for some class of employees, sometimes based on the hourly, we pay them for the prior month. So in July, we are paying some people for July's work, and we're paying some people for June work. In July, we do an accrual and move it back to June, so June is a correct number for what really was expended at that point. When we did the year-to-date budget, we took salaries and divided by 12. We will be fine-tuning that going forward, saying the people that are paid in the month, we're going to have them in that month, and then the ones that are paid in the next month. It's complicated.
Yeah.
We're going to try to make it more simple and more accurate so that the budget to actual. So our actuals are actually on target for where we should be spending during the year. And the next slide, please. This shows you our cash balances. Cash is the most important thing we have to make sure we can pay our bills and pay our salaries and make sure that we're operating in the black, and we are. So this, as we've said before, the board approved in January some additional spending for additional HVAC and other properties. So there, when our cash balance is different. Again, we're comparing this to last year to this year, so we can actually do this. Our plan will be on the regular monthly reports, where we'll having line items, and we'll show you, explain the variances for each of the different line items that we go through there. That's my presentation. Any other questions that we may have from the board?
Okay, let that start over here. Anybody have questions on this? I'm glad you have to figure it out. Any questions over here? Nancy? Mm-hmm.
First, I really appreciate all the work that you and Zach have been doing. I know that you're really moving the finance department really miles ahead, and so I really appreciate that. On the budget, I understand reporting by the program, which is like a easy way to summarize. But within the summary, will we still be able to see the details? Because that's often where you can find out what's the actual specifics of what, and I don't mean like, the minutia detail, but like kind of similar to what is on the non-FTE budget. And I know some of this, for this coming budget, will still be a work in process because the new budget module won't yet be, I don't think it will be functional for this process.
So we're going to be betwixt and between through this whole process. But yes, so our goal is you will have the department, so we'll take high school, and then we will have a line item that you will see for personnel, for benefits, contracted services, and then we're trying to figure out what are the natural connections that you will bring up to a category that is useful to the board. And then we will have, for the departments, the items that are down below that as well, so we can actually look at that information. So yes, you will have more information than is on here that you can review instead of just by the department. So we'll be having that broken down into appropriate categories. We had a working session with our software company for the budget software to figure out where the different things are and who has authority to make changes and stuff like that. So our goal here, Zach came up with this, to get this to the department so they can start talking about what do you want to break it down, and then we'll start doing the categories below that so that it makes sense.
And I'll just still recommend again, like on the contracts over 50,000, because the language, the verbiage reads that these are contracts that were already previously approved in the budget, but there's never been a list provided to the board as part of the budget process. I know that Greeley I think it's Greeley, provides a list of these so that when they do come up, it is clear that it is routine because it's like, oh yeah, that's on page whatever of the budget. So I still recommend that, but thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? No, all right, thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, 7.2 is the 2025 bond next step. Todd and Tammy.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Heller, Top County Assistant Superintendent of Operations. So tonight, before we get into the next steps, I just want to take a moment first to thank a few people. One, all the departments that really have been working, I'll say, for a few years to get to this point of a successful bond. And then second, our community for coming out and supporting this, because really what this does for our future generations is supports our kids, our teachers, in our buildings to help support the whole system. So thank you for that. The really now going on to the next steps, the work that's beginning and actually has already been going on. Our Citizen Bond Oversight Committee is going to be the, go to the next slide, Lily. Our Citizen Bond Oversight Committee is going to be, applications are going to go live Friday, I believe, Friday and or Monday in the next few days. And what that is, we have bylaws within the Citizen Bond Oversight Committee, but it's a board-appointed group that will be selected by the board. So as we go through the process, we get the applications in December. We'll work with the board and talk about how we want to do that. There are suggestions we did last time. But what it boils down to is there's two sectors or stakeholders from the business community, 4 from the community groups, so the Berthoud, Johnstown, Loveland, Fort Collins area. There's 2 parents, and then there's citizen at large. There's 8 citizens at large. So that's the 16 members that'll be a part of it. I can just say last time what we did is the citizens at large were just picked out of a hat. The other 8 were actually each application the board went through and looked at the qualifications to make sure they aligned with that stakeholder group. So yeah, it's a board driven process, and then it'll be suggested on the first study session. We'll work through how to do that, and then final approval would be then in the second one in January. And then as you can see, there's all sorts of reports and pieces they'll be reporting to the board. If there's anything the board wants to see within the group too, let's look at this, let's look at that, whether it be expenditures, alignment with the ballot language, all the pieces, also communicate that and We'll work with Dr. Heller. Last time there was a board liaison on that group that joined the meetings. So up and coming. The next slide there is just a preliminary schedule. So we just want to show the community what's in front of us. You can see there's it looks like not much in the next 2 years, but our two biggest projects, the most complicated, Tammy will talk about here in a second, but they are kicking off like right now. And that's Bertha and Ivy. Those are the two complex projects that'll take a little bit of time and I'll say headache to get through, but fun to get through. Next is the overall budget. So this is a little different than what we did last bond. So we talked about, obviously ways to improve, to do things different. One thing we did is said, let's just do all the budgets at once. That way it's out there. I think what we did last time is we came to the board, every, say, 6 months for a project budget. And I think it was hard to see because, how do you see when you do two here, whether you're going back and adding up and trying to see where it all lines. So the hope here, and what you'll see next time in a board memo in the study session, is just here's the project budget for the entire bond. Like it's all out there. Every dollar's out there. If it's varied from this, as you'll see in the memo, we'll come back to the board. So this just gives a threshold to say, here's the contents, here's what we want to do within the bond, whether it's maintenance, safety, or growth. If the project comes in over budget, we have issues, and it's over these dollar amounts, we'll come back to the board and say, okay, here's why where we're at. So a little different than last time. This also helps with some of our coordination. Tammy we talk with Bob and his team, the business service team, say, okay, it can be loaded up front within our system. That way it's all there at once. So little tweak from last time, but we're pretty confident that's a good step forward. So I will turn it over to Tammy now. She'll talk through a couple projects and a little bit of the process.
Thank you, Todd. Yeah, it's nice to be back here again after successful elections. So we are ready to roll. Like Todd said, the first two projects are Bertha and Ivy. The most risk to, similar to renovating Con Ball into Peak View, there's a lot of unforeseen issues that could come up. It's going to be a feat to reconfigure those into a compliant K-5 with one pre-K room in each. So this list here shows the scope of work. It's very similar at both schools. The biggest difference is at Ivy. We're also planning for a new gymnasium there also to make it equitable with other schools and other K-5s in the district. The schedule is very preliminary there. We've only had a couple meetings with our teams so far because we really wanted to wait and make sure the bond was approved before we got too far ahead. But we've started design already. We have the design advisory group meetings set up for December 15th and 16th, and I know there'll be some board representation on those. Design goes pretty quick. We have community meetings. We're going to start scheduling those out with at least a handful of meetings for input from the community and how we can incorporate their ideas and influence and culture into these projects for sure. Construction could be started next summer. They could be in the buildings starting infrastructure. They'll for sure be in the buildings doing a lot of research and planning. But we have worked with the schools to shut the schools down pretty much the next 2 summers to make sure we finish by August of 2027. So we have been coordinating a lot with finance. It's been great to meet with Zach and Bob regularly. We've modified the Business Plus reporting. As shown there, it's kind of high level, it's hard to dig in, but all the funding sources will be in Business Plus. It'll be very easy. We're identifying different packages, different ways to drill into the details of every project. This is an example of Bertha Dell and BF Kitchen. The original budget will always add up to the 99 that's been approved. Once we get the premiums, inflation, those changes will be reflected into the working budget column. And then the actual encumbrances and net available, we'll be able to drill down into details like you were asking earlier, Nancy, on the other finance piece, so that you can see every PO, everything that we've done per site, per budget, per funding source. So we're ready to go with that. We'll continue regular meetings with both finance and procurement. Right now, we've been meeting weekly, and we plan to either continue that or go to bi-weekly, just dependent on the amount of work and the scope that we're into. We'll also, the bottom right shows the pie charts that if you've been out on the website, we have 3 buckets right now: critical needs, security, and growth. Most schools like BF Kitchen have 2 buckets. That's the gray is security, purple is critical needs. We'll be able to report through Business Plus an update on each of those pie charts. We're working with communications to make sure it's visual, easy to dive in and see how much of the 43% at BF Kitchen has been spent or encumbered. So we're trying to just really communicate with the community and make sure the info is out there. This is a communication and process chart, as it's titled. We just want to make sure we use this when we meet with principals, with staff, with the community, with our design build teams, our contractors and architects, to say this is our integrated project approach. Not just the big Berthoud and Ivies, but every renovation across the district that uses these bond funds, we want input. So you can see all the input that goes into the core of the diagram, and then the reporting across the bottom with the guidance and approval of CBOC, with regular board updates, answering questions that way. The Bond Advisory Committee, we meet once a month right now, I believe, but that continues with Dr. Heller at the helm there. And then cabinet level, of course, they're part of that Bond Advisory Committee too, but that's constant reporting and conversations going on to make sure we're meeting the needs of the learning environment. And then the website, more on the communication. I've been working with communications department again to keep those pie charts updated. We plan on some video series, a little more over the top than last time. Pictures will be updated. The schedule that Todd went over a little earlier, we'll be updating that and making sure that that's out there and available for purview. Expenditures we talked about a little bit with the Business Plus report as a source of truth. And then CBOC presentations, by their guidelines and bylaws, are required to update the board also and provide reports. And that's it. We're ready to roll. We're ready to get the integrated approaches going and get these projects underway. Are there any questions?
No, thank you. I just have a question. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I know like when we did the Peakview Academy, there was construction going on like throughout the school year. Is that going to happen at Berthoud and Ivy as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There will be, and the principals have been in, I believe, 2 or 3 meetings already, and that's been high concern to make sure safety first, operating has to continue for the kiddos. So that'll be a constant day-to-day conversation to make sure we keep the kiddos safe. Yeah.
Nancy?
First, I know for the last 4 years, I've kind of sometimes been a thorn in everybody's side on the bond stuff. But I would like to say that it's so great to see the progress and the changes that you guys are putting in place. I think it's really what's needed, and it's really going to, again, just help more of the public understand and see where the money's actually going and have confidence that they understand what they're reading. My questions on the list of all of the schools where the money's going to be budgeted. One was bond environmental. Is that for the like all the non-project expenses, like the salaries, the interest? What is the bond environmental?
Environmental is asbestos-containing materials,
Oh,
lead
okay.
abatement, those kinds of things. So we have a separate bucket. Some of that work is in the budgets at each school, but we have that extra bucket to address more as we get into the projects.
So will you somewhere in one of these reports keep track of and show all of the bond money that's being used to cover bond costs, issuance costs, interest, bond salaries and benefits and so forth?
Yes, just below that, bond management, that 2.033, that $2 million, that's salaries, equipment, materials, supplies. That's where we'll track that.
Okay.
Yep.
And then as far as the buckets go, the buckets that you talk about make sense, except to me it seems like we're still missing the ADA bucket and/or within those critical needs, make sure that the ADA work is really clearly identified and listed on the website so that people can see, because I know right now you just have a you just have one number without it really knowing where it's going to go.
Right. The study that's underway.
I can talk to that a little bit. So our plan is, we have, right, just one bucket now. As we do projects, so Bertha and Ivy, for example, there's going to be 80 upgrades that are just part of the project. So we're going to actually try to, well, not try, we'll pull those dollars out to show, hey, this is how much put towards ADA. So we will create another kind of section as we get the audit done, just within each project, because it's really not just the 2.5. It's going to be a good chunk more as we get into other projects. There's going to be some of the items that are going to be taken care of regardless. So the plan is to eventually just take that as its own like pie chart or section bucket as we get the audit and kind of finalize the work in that.
So would it probably be treated more like kind of like a declining balance bucket, whereas you identify it and you move it over to Berthoud, you increase Berthoud and you decline the ADA?
No,
or-
Bertha and Ivy are a little different because we've got dollars set aside
On
because of the
any
scope of
school,
that
I
project.
guess.
Yeah, so it would actually be more of an increased bucket. So say, for example, Big T that has a vestibule work in there, will inherently within that vestibule work do some of the ADA work. So it'll actually probably show an increase to that 2.5 rather than taking the 2.5 out to that. So
I see,
we're
okay.
going to try to balance. That's the goal, is to do it that way. You know, we'll see as we get into it, if there's bigger pieces that the project budget can't handle, we may have to subsidize with the two, but the hope is we can also capture some of it within the projects.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. If I read the slide correctly, Tammy, you're projecting that the construction at Berthoud and Ivy will be concluded by the summer of 2027, is that correct?
Correct.
And so when students begin school that fall, they will essentially have an expanded new school, okay?
Yep.
Are you able to project when, since all of the schools in the district are getting money from this bond issue, are you able to project when those various projects will be finished? Is summer of 2027 the date for those as well, or might they be finished earlier or extend past summer of 2027?
Laura Lee, can you go back to that schedule? There we go. So this hopefully can answer your questions. We do project out by feeder. Those are all the schools, and the yellow bar is the construction. So we go by that, the end of that yellow bar, the right side is the substantial completion date, which we try to always align with August. So we do project all these schools out, and those are the dates as of today. Our best scenario that the cash flow follows this plan. You know, a lot of things stem off of this. So that's our best projection as of today.
All right. And my last question is related to the fact that I was very pleased during the 2018 bond construction that signs were posted at the various schools, and then people driving by were able to see check marks where various parts of the project were completed. Is that your intention to do? Obviously, it would be the intention at Berthoud and Ivy because those are major construction projects. Is it your plan to have something like that at all district schools, some type of a sign to indicate where the construction is, et cetera?
Berthoud and Ivy, yes. And then the others, we are working with Alana, and then the communications group too, or some other weekly meetings that we've been having of how to make sure the community knows what's happening at each school, whether it's some banners, some larger banners that say, hey, the bond work's happening now. A lot of it, we really want the community to know when the work's happening at a school, because a lot of it's infrastructure and things you won't see, like in the last bond, where you could drive by and actually see what was happening. So we are talking about options to do that, and we'll just see what makes sense with each project. And it'll take a year or so to implement, but we'll
Sure. I
definitely keep it
appreciate
at the top
that.
of the list.
But I think any notification that we can give the public at the other 29 schools, if I have the right number, is going to be very important so that voters know that the money that they voted as part of this $99 million bond issue is indeed being spent at the various schools.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy?
I don't have any questions, but glad you're here with us for this project, so thank you.
Thank you.
Don?
Ditto, to glad you're back on this, and also to like end with saying thank you to the voters for making this happen. I mean, obviously wouldn't have happened without their approval, and so, you know, to know that we're able to meet some of the most pressing needs of the district is really a relief, so thank you.
Nice to see you. We're glad that it's underway.
Yes.
We desperately need it, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. The next on our report would be our written reports, the family pie from October 14th, and then the DAC meeting from 9/23/25. Any requests for information from the board? Okay, then I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.